Hey folks, Daily Landsblog for the 14th of July, 2020. It's me, and it's Wrigley, and it's Carl, and it's Core, and it's Case. Hey, Core.
Hi.
Case, what's up?
Nothing.
So we were talking, Casey and I, the last couple of days about a parent, which would be me in this dynamic, talking to kids about suicide. And I don't think it makes any difference whether your kids are 15 years old or older. It's still a relevant question, especially if you've never asked the question, which I never did, right? You know, when you were younger, I never said to you, hey, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? And I realized, thinking back, I mean, it was a different frame of reference, but it's a bad thing. So, have you ever had, and I asked Case this question, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? And when I say that, not necessarily like making a plan, but have those thoughts ever come into your head?
No. I mean, we all joke about it from time to
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
But like that's not suicide, obviously. No, it's.
Yeah, I mean, like
I've
you're,
had my share of mental health issues. You want to name them? I got a whole list of them. But I've never actually suffered from depression, and I've never had suicidal thoughts.
now, if the answer was yes, do you think you would tell me?
Yeah, because you know how open I am.
I do.
my,
I do.
My issues.
Right.
I don't think I would have an issue.
Right.
I don't know. 'Cause
But
I've
do
never-
you think that if I asked you when you were 15 years old, that you would have said yes, if yes was the appropriate answer? And I asked that question because Case made a comment a couple of days ago that it would be so hard to be open because you know that if you say yes, you're going to devastate the person you're talking to.
Yeah,
and
but you
nobody
also
wants to
have
do that.
to remember, like, she, the one behind the camera, has
She?
never suffered from any real mental health issues the way that I have. So I've been used to talking about it since I was a kid. Like, I've never had a problem saying, like, my anxiety's bad. I've never had a problem saying, like, I'm obsessing over a certain thing. It's never really been an issue. So I would assume that if I ever did have those thoughts, I probably would talk about it after the fact.
See, when I was a kid, I had many of the same issues that you have, but I never ever spoke about it. No one ever asked me about it. I mean, there were so many warning signs that I would have had.
Yeah, it's bad parenting, isn't it?
Yeah,
Bad parenting.
It's just it was. I never heard the word anxiety. Like it was never
but
spoken
back then,
of.
did anyone understand what it was, or was it
No.
just a select group of psychiatrists who knew what it was, and then the rest of the people saying, "Oh, toughen up. Why are you so afraid of this? Why are you so afraid
absolutely.
of that?" Well, I mean, that tells you how far we've come as a society.
It
that
does.
I'm sitting here today discussing this, and I'm pretty sure I'd be honest enough to say it, but.
So how would you ask if you had a kid that was 15? How would you ask the question?
You want the honest answer? Or I'm going to crack a joke first.
I don't want to tell you how to answer the question.
I would say, nah, I'm not going to crack a joke. It's serious.
Probably a
subject.
good move.
I think you have to know your kid, I guess, right? And like, this is the closest thing I have to a kid, right, Carl? I think the best thing to do is just ask the question outright. I don't think beating around the bush and,
Agreed.
and saying, so, have you ever suffered from any sort of bad? I think you're better off just say, have you ever thought of killing yourself?
Right, but I think that the key to that is you have to be willing to. Hey, Riggs, so cute.
Probably
You-
wondering why we have toilet paper outside. It's to clean up
We
the
don't
mess
need-
that one
Yeah.
of the dogs makes.
So my point is that you have to be persistent on that, because if somebody's not honest the first time, you have to, and you wouldn't know
But
if
how
they're
would you
being
know?
honest.
That's the
You
question.
don't, but you have to. I think you have to go with the expectation that if your child says no, I've never had that thought, that maybe they're trying to deceive you. If they say yes, I
Yeah,
have,
but
then
I think you know your kids. But like I can't say this because I don't have kids, but I think you know your kids better at 15 than you would at 30, right? Like
yes.
when you're 30, you've moved out, you start to develop a life on your own away from your parents. I think you know your kids better when they're younger and they're under your your gaze all the time.
I think it's a good point. I just think that sometimes you have to. It's not like
Fighting over the
you don't
toilet
have
paper.
to beat it out of them, but you got to push them to be
No,
honest.
but you can always tell when there's something wrong with your
Yeah,
kid.
you think so, but I'm
Oh,
not
did
sure.
you know that there was something fucked up about me?
Yeah, but
Man, he's obsessed with washing his hands
yeah,
27
but that's
times.
also because you didn't hide it.
No, so
right?
why would I hide that?
You wouldn't, but all kinds of people hide depression. I mean, kids take their own lives
I know.
without ever
And
sharing with
part
anyone.
of that is probably because they've never grew up living in a house where talking about your mental health was an actual thing. And
Probably right.
I bet you there's a whole lot of parents who regret never having that discussion with their kids. Even ones who didn't end up taking their lives, ones who just suffered from depression for 10 years before getting help. So,
That's well put, man.
can I have the
Corey,
toilet paper?
thank you. Case, as always, thank you.
For what?
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
you
you're
shouldn't-
shooting it,
you
and you're
didn't
going
do
to
anything.
post it. And
Carl, get out.
for helping me explore this topic, which I just,
Case.
I think there's got to be a recipe for how to do better than we as a society are doing. SickNoweek.com, 24 hours a day, 425 days a year.
So you're dyslexic now?
No, it's not that. It's just that
You're
we
just
did
stupid.
we did all the that's all possible. But we did Isolation Nation, and we like for 45 minutes a day. We think we deserve a little bit more than saying 364 days.
Well, it's a leap year, so.
That's a good point.